Well. What's next in the agenda of reviewing or to know more about this lens Opteka 12mm f2.8? It's f2.8, the widest aperture that you can shoot this lens with. So we are going to talk about the bokeh that this lens can offer to us. And to test about this bokeh, unfortunately what happened is, like in the fields when I was there in shooting for the photo walks that I went, so I never shot my Opteka 12mm f2.8 lens at f2.8, like probably one or two images, and you may not see much of a visible bokeh where I can show you the aperture shape, like which is oval or circular or whatever kind that is. Like it's going to be a blur in the background, but unfortunately the blur is not good enough. I do not have any lights in the background to show you about the shape of the bokeh that is appearing, or the aperture rings shape, during my photo walks. So I hardly shoot at f2.8. I just said to you guys, I always shoot at f16, and I rarely change the apertures, and if at all I change, I shoot it by looking at the backside screen and use focus peaking anyways. So, and to know the bokeh, I did not have the luxury to set up a complete test chart board of printed to the life size, or have some LED lamps over there, or other lights, various types of lights to test the bokeh and everything. I do not have that luxury, and I cannot shoot it from 10 feet or anything. My room is a very small space, so for which I recalled and I kind of remembered what I had with me. So this is some sort of LED setup which I designed myself. The design and the idea was mine, and I asked the electrician to build it for me, and this was built in 2011. It's for there is a small story to it. Like there was a competition in the place where I was working. It's called Ascendus IT Park in Taramani, and there was a photo competition, and they were asking us to shoot at the entire place of the Ascendus IT Park. I cannot show you the images because we signed an agreement, and the topic was like life in a IT park. Okay, so I was planning to use some light painting stuff in that competition. So I designed this LED light. It works with a 9-volt battery. It takes two 9-volt batteries. Right now I'll demonstrate to you guys with one. So this is more like a police ambulance flickering light. With two of them, it is even more brighter. Okay. So it takes two 9-volt batteries, and I designed this, and this is designed in a way that I could use the same wire to spin it around me and create a light painting. I don't know if I have those photographs with me anymore, because at the day of submission, I had a call from the HR of the same IT park saying that they want pictures of the buildings only. They don't need any light painting stuff. They don't need a life in the IT park. Though the topic was like life in an IT park, they changed and called for only the architectural photographs, so that was a bummer, and it was a bad memory anyways. So I forget that. And this LED setup was designed on 2011 to 2012, so to shoot some light painting shots, and I used the very same LEDs to shoot some bokeh or test the bokeh's shape of my lens, which is like Opteka 12mm f2.8 lens. So let me show you a small clip, and I'll take you from there, to see the test results that I got when I shot that clip, with the Fuji X Pro 2 and Opteka 12mm f2.8 lens. Obviously, I have to shoot the video with Fuji X Pro 2. Probably that is one of the videos that I have ever shot to shoot that LED light in the dark. I did not go out, as I said earlier. So I shot this LED light in the dark, and I used that Fuji X Pro 2 and Opteka 12mm f2.8 lens to shoot that video and to shoot the photograph in itself to capture the shape of the aperture. Okay, so I'll just take you to a small screen recording and we'll take it from there. Okay, now it's the time for bokeh test. Okay, peace. So this is how I shot this LED lights in the dark with my Fuji X Pro 2 and Opteka 12mm f2.8 lens with the circular polarizing filter on. That's how I shoot in my real world conditions. So I shot some images or the photographs of these LED lights in the notion to capture the aperture blades shape that it is forming, how circular it is and everything. And I shot some few images, and let's get into my computer and start reviewing those images. Okay, hope you guys like it. So guys, what you're looking here is my folder wherein I saved all the images that I shot during this bokeh test thing, with my LED setup in the dark. I have shot many images. These are all raw files, which is about 50 MB in size. It's going to be loading a little slower, though it is loading it from my SSD, solid state drive. We'll show you the non-conclusive results and I'll show you the images which I thought that is good and good for the review and finalized and put them on a separate folder. Okay, these are all the non-conclusive images. Okay, and you could see the flares in the image. Okay, and these are not banding, actually. These are the light flares of as a result of these LEDs being flashed. Okay, so the specs of the images or the EXIF data with which I shot these images are immaterial right now. It's what matters is just the bokeh. Okay, so we have some bokeh, but it's not that satisfactory for me. So these are the various images. The image itself is blurred, but the blur is so smooth and nice. It's flashing too much, and the flares are actually good. Actually, these are not banding. You should not mistake this for the banding in the sensor, but these are actually good flares that actually enhances the image. I could use this as my background or wallpaper at any time if need me. These are non-conclusive images which I shot. Okay, so let's get into the final image, which I thought like these are good enough to explain you guys with, which is, what we are talking about is the bokeh, right? So what you are looking here with the blue light is the bokeh shape that you will get from the aperture blades of this lens, Opteka f2.8 12mm lens. Okay, so it has 9 aperture blades which produces a beautiful circular bokeh. That's what you're seeing it on the screen right now. Okay, so these blue lights which were flashing, I was able to capture the circular bokeh of these. This is amazing, right? You may not get the same bokeh with the Samyang 12mm f2 or f2.8 lens, that has only 6 aperture blades. It might give you some hexagonal shape. That's also a shape, you can, I'm not devaluing it actually for Samyang users, but anyways, I love circular bokeh. I love smooth transition of blur and bokeh. So this is one such image. Let's get into the another image. So it's again this showing you the evidence of how beautiful the bokeh and the blur that you will get from this image is. Okay, so circular. Each bokeh merges into another seamlessly. There is no like awkward or anti-aliasing stuff that is happening or weird coloring happening due to the aberrations and everything. It's red and the blue. That's very clear and evident over here. The next image, see, it's very beautiful actually. The bokeh is really nice and circular, with this Opteka 12mm f2.8 lens, and with Amazon Basics circular polarizing filter on this lens. Okay, so this circular polarizer has rendered the colors so accurate. It's nice, blue and blue and red, just as we saw in the video. Okay, let's go into the another image. Yeah, this has some mild bokeh here for you to show, and here is the final image. I believe it shows just a single line of LED lights with in the bokeh shape. See how circular it is with the 9 aperture blades in the Opteka. So bokeh test is completely pass for me. This is amazing. And if you ask me personally, when I'm shooting in my photo walks, like I actually did not prefer or enjoy much shooting in the wide aperture like this, like in f2.8 or something. I like sharper images when I'm shooting my subjects of architecture or landscapes and everything. So I rarely use them, and I'm showing this just for you guys to know that these aperture blades are really producing considerable, really decent bokeh that you would find in other top class lenses in this category as well. So in that sense, Opteka 12mm f2.8 lens is a wonderful lens showing you the beautiful bokeh here. So I think I have one more image to scan and show you guys. So it's the same thing I'm going to say. It's a wonderful bokeh. It's very circular and nice and bright and beautiful actually. So with the, if you are I wouldn't recommend this lens as a portrait lens per se. It's a cropped body with an 1.5x crop factor. So whatever you're going to shoot with this wide aperture lens, even though if it is f2.8, in terms of cropped body, it's going to be like f4 or a f5.6 or between f4 or f5.6 kind of bokeh on a cropped body. Okay, so it's not going to be like a smooth bokeh that you will find in full frame terms. Okay, so I wouldn't shoot this for a portrait unless and until the fashion portraits or the portraits which demand a sharper image in a studio environment or somewhere else, even at the outside, where you will need some tactile sharp image of the subject as well as the background and the backlight or the subject's certain interesting elements in the subject face or in the hair or any jewels or something. Unless and until I'm shooting such things, I may not be using this for portraits or fashion photography, but I would definitely recommend this lens for architectural types and landscape types kind of photography. Okay, so now let's move on to the other test, the lens test charts. Let's move on to the test chart test, or like the where we can see the results of this lens from the test chart that I made to test this lens. Okay, let's go to that.